I got a question a while back of someone asking me if it is advice. I got a question a while back from someone asking me if it is advisable for them to actually set up a distribution store for selling pure water and bottled water. In this video today, I'll be focusing on that aspect of the business because I know it's not everybody who is able to afford buying equipment, getting a land, building a structure for setting up a pure water factory or a bottled water factory. But going into the distribution side is also a lucrative side of the business. In short, even those people you see selling water in rubber also make a lot of profit when it comes to selling this water. In short, when they buy a bag of pure water, since they are buying cold water, when they take it to the market and they sell it 50 naira, that's how much they currently sell one pure water. Now imagine in a bag you have 20 sachets of pure water and you are selling each one 50 naira. You'll see that at the end of the day, you are able to remove your capital, that's the money you actually use in buying that one bag of pure water, and you will also be able to realize some profit at the end of the day. Now, why this is good is because the distribution side or setting up a retail store is actually cheaper than setting up a manufacturing store. And by going into the retail aspect, either you have a store or you are just like a roadside seller or anything, you will still see some margin of profit in the business because people are thirsty. And especially now that we are approaching the dry season, if you are able to set up a store and you are able to consistently supply cold pure water, I'm telling you, you will make a lot of profit. Even you will testify by the end of the year. Another thing is to consider the location where you intend to set up your retail store. So if you are thinking of setting up like a retail store, maybe in a community where you have schools, you have markets close by, definitely you will see profit there. Because as the heat season is approaching, short, I'm starting to feel some heat now as I'm recording this video. But yeah, as the heat season is approaching, people tend to consume a lot of water. I myself, personally, I can remember early this year, there was a day where I drank almost 10 sachets of pure water. That's half a bag, only me. Now, imagine you are in a location where you have people, different people coming to buy from you. You'll see that at the end of the day, just the single pieces they are selling to people individually, you might end up selling more than 10, 20, even 50 bags to people coming to your store. You should also have a consistent supplier for your water. So let's say you don't have a store, maybe you buy from people because we also have people like that. In this our factory here, aside from the manufacturing, we also have a retail store just around there with the ice block machine which we sell water to people. So similarly to if you are selling the water or you are buying from someone who is supplying cold water, the main goal is for you to always have that cold water available. Either you are selling to your customers or people are coming to buy the cold water from you. It's still the same thing. Maybe if you are selling to people one by one or you have people coming in bulk to come and buy from you, it's just important that you have cold water available, especially this dry season and this heat period that's coming. I know I'm laying emphasis on that because there's actually a lot of profit to be made during this period. If you are employing someone to help you with the distribution and the selling of the water, you should also hire someone who is close to you. I think with the situation of this country now, it's not new to anyone that the cost of transportation and some of all these little expenses are on the increase and are much. So if you want to set up a retail store and you want to be supplying to your customers steadily, you need someone who will be working for you, someone who will be there in the shop because the customer influx of water is at random and you can even have people coming in the very early hours of the day and even late hours of the night. So you will need someone who will constantly be at the store and who will consistently, supply this water to your customers and build a rapport with them. If you want to set up a distribution store for selling pure water, the first thing you should have, obviously, is your store. So either you are renting a store. I think this is one of the few businesses which I will say it is actually advised for you to rent a store. So you should have a store. Either you build a store or you rent a store, or if you have a store available, you should have a store. Then at least with an office. So the store will be the main place where you store your water, either sachet water and bottled water. Then your office should be the place where, or a small segment of your store, where you have your decks, you have your record books, you have your system. Maybe if you want to charge a few appliances, you should have provision for that available in your store. And you also need fan too or AC because the heat period, the offices tend to be hot. So you should have somewhere like that with a toilet, just have a standard store in place for this business. Then the next thing you need is a freezer or a big fridge. Now there are different types, so I didn't really specify the amount here, but they are of different types. You have the ice block machine. Even the ice block machine are of different capacities. You have the one carrying 80 bags, you have the one carrying 200 bags, 300 bags, 1000 bags. It all depends on the kind of freezer, the size, and your requirements, which you ask them to build for you. We also have imported freezers. We have big freezers that are able to carry up to like 1000 bags. You have big freezers that are able to carry even more. So depending on your budget, you can actually make a request for the kind of freezer. But in essence, you should have a big freezer and a fridge which is able to supply you with cold water consistently. Then in addition to this, when you have freezer, you need something to power the freezer. Now you can either rely on NEPA light, but I would say in the dry season this is not advisable because I don't know what's wrong with Nigerian power supply. But once you get to dry season where people need light the most, that's when you won't see light at all. So just opt in. At least you should have the normal power supply, but you should opt in for an alternative power, either a generator or a solar. Now, generator, you can go for either petrol gen or diesel gen, depending on the capacity of your freezer. Then for the solar, you should go for a solar which would be able to carry all the appliances in your store. So before they actually even install the solar, the installation team will come, access all the equipment you have there and everything. Then they will tell you what is advisable for you to run. But if you are able to get solar inverter that is able to give you 24 hours light in that store, I'm telling you, you will enjoy this business. Like you will enjoy it 100%. You will enjoy it if you have a freezer which is attached to a solar inverter that consistently gives you cold water in your store. I'm telling you, in short, you will take over the market in your area because in the dry season, not a lot of people actually have freezers that are able to even give that cold water. So if you are able to make provisions for this, you will make serious money. Then the next thing is if you are operating in a big store, you can make provision for having a trolley or something just to carry the water in bulk. So let's say you have people coming to come and buy even 10 bags of pure water, 20 bags, 100 bags. Because even in the dry season, like these stores that I'm mentioning here, you will have people that will even come to the store to request for water because of the heat. So in such periods, if you have like a trolley, it's actually a good investment because it will save you the stress of carrying water one by one. And if you are carrying water one by one, it's likely for the nylon to tear or for the pack to tear or for the water to even get contaminated in the process of transporting it to where you intend to transport it by hand. So you should or you can make provision for that. The next thing is if you are to supply to people, you can also make provision for this, and I'm sure you also make money from this because you will charge them for delivery cost, especially if you are transporting cold water. You can have a distribution vehicle. Now, the distribution vehicle too also depends on how many bags, capacity of the vehicle, is it petrol or diesel vehicle, etc., etc. So you can make provision for this. If you enjoyed the tips and what I've been sharing here so far, don't forget to like the video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps the channel grow and it also encourages me to make more videos. So yeah, I will appreciate the like and support. So the next thing now you need to consider when setting up a retail store for your business is the expenses. Now, what are the major expenses for setting up a retail store, a distribution store for water? The first thing, or where you'll be putting in money first, is your starting capital. So, this starting capital is to buy the water. Either you are selling sachet water or bottled water, regardless, I'll say you should go more of sachet water because the masses tend to consume more of sachet water. But you can have sachet water, bottled water, all available. Now, depending on how many bags you are buying at the initial start, the starting capital varies and it differs from person to person. So if you are going with only sachet water, maybe you can keep money to buy at least maybe 1,000 bags. Or if you are starting small, you can even start with 200 bags. In short, this business idea as a whole, that's this retail side of the water distribution business. You can start small as 200 bags, as small as 50 bags, if you can start from there. But as long as you have the water available and you have it cold, especially for the dry seasons, and you will make money there. So the starting capital usually depends on how many bags of water you are buying and you know the people who you intend to supply to. Then the next place again, or your second expense or power generation, your petrol, and for your distribution vehicles. So your distribution vehicles, you need to buy them. Either you have vehicles on ground already or you need to buy new vehicles. And aside from buying the vehicles, you need to fuel them, either petrol or diesel. So you need to budget for that in the start. The next again is your solar, just like I explained earlier, the major reasons why you need to have like a solar inverter. You need to make arrangement for that and set some funds aside for that. And this solar is not cheap, to be honest. For you to get a good solar inverter, especially in Nigeria, I know there are some that they will advertise to you. They will say, oh, they are cheap, they are efficient. Those ones, you might actually install them and it will start well for you, but after 3 months, 6 months, they'll start developing issues, or maybe the battery won't even last, or you will need to be carrying out some kind of maintenance on them. But if you are determined and you have the funds, you can just go for a good solar inverter, maybe like one of these lithium battery solar inverters and so on. Just get something of good quality that can give you what you want so that during the heat period, you have light and you're able to give that cold water. That should be the major goal and the major target here. So once you keep money for this, you should also budget for maybe any regulatory payments or any environmental taxes or any of those things, revenue taxes, which you might be paying. It's good that place, the location where you intend to set up this retail and distribution store, you actually do your research there to know what are some of the requirements for having a store in that particular area. If it's a place where you're already familiar with, then you can go ahead with your project. But if you are not familiar with that place, it's good for you to know which governing agency comes here to collect tax, who are the people that come to collect revenue, all those sort of information. It's good for you to know all those things and plan for that appropriately. Then you also need to at least keep some money aside for your equipments like the trolley I spoke of, for carrying the water. Then for your generator, solar, and also waste disposal. Disposing waste is very, very important because even in the last meeting I attended of the Association of Table Water Producers, they laid emphasis on waste collection and waste disposal. So if you are in the business of either packaging, manufacturing, or distribution of water, you should try and contribute your own quota of collecting waste. That's the sachet nylon, plastic bags, all those things, and dispose them appropriately. So if you're able to have the money to cover all these things that I just mentioned, you should be able to have a retail distribution store for selling both sachet water, that's pure water, bottled water, and if you want to even include dispenser, you can also include it. Now, one important tip again is how you arrange the water in your store. I did a video a while back on how to properly arrange water in a finished product room. But similar to that too, for keeping your pure water, I think I'll put a clip on how you should actually try to arrange your water if you are selling in a distribution store. This will reduce leakages and it will help you sell more of your product instead of acquiring losses. Now, some major key to success in this business is for you to supply consistently. Like I already established at the start of this video, having cold water consistently. Although even the normal water too also moves in the dry season, but if you have that cold water, you'll be able to make profit. Because if they are selling normal water for 400 naira or for 500 naira, The cold one, you sell it 600 or even 700 sef, depending on the demand. There might be a time whereby, yeah, even the only person supplying cold water in that area. So you can take advantage of the markets that time and actually realize your profit. So if you are able to supply consistently, you are on the high road to success. The next is for you to offer competitive prices. So if you are able to offer reasonable prices, just like I said, if you see that you have like a good share of the market, you can also offer competitive prices, good prices that you will make your profit and you also attract buyers from different places. Because during the dry season, once people know that you have cold water, you see them coming with sack. You see people coming from different locations with their vehicles to come and buy from you. So if you are able to offer competitive prices, you'll be able to capture the market throughout that season and earn good amount of profit. You can also change leakages for your customers. So if your customers have complaints and they come to say, okay, we see some leakages in our water, you can change it for them just as a sign of maintaining good relationship with them. You can also, one tip here, this one is to avoid over freezing. So over freezing is a case whereby maybe you keep water in your freezer and you leave it overnight. And throughout that overnight, maybe the water got frozen, it even blocked. So once your pure water blocks, there is no how you won't see one or two or three leakages inside. So you can set a timer so that you don't over freeze your water, but make the water cold enough for people to actually get what they are paying for. The next thing again is for you to maintain daily records. So once you sell, as you are making sales, you should keep record. This record keeping will help you understand what you are doing in your business, will help you understand your stock and how much profit you are able to make at the end of the day. So coming down now to what should be your starting budget for this. Just like I established earlier, depending on the kind of store you are setting up, your location, if you are setting up a store for maybe capacity of 1,000 bags or 2,000 bags, you will see that your starting capital or your starting budget will be different from someone who is just setting up a store for maybe 200 bags, 300 bags. And there are different ways you could go around this, but the main thing is for you to have a store, at least pay all the dues that are attached to owning a store, having a freezer, having power supply, then supplying to your customers, and even having a distribution vehicle. So those are just the major things. I would say, regardless, plus minus, if you have anything from 3 million, 5 million in Nigeria, you should be able to set up something like this, either from the portable side or you could add up to the capital and scale up and have something bigger. So these are the major things you will need to know if you are to set up a retail distribution store for water in Nigeria. I'm sure this is applicable to other countries too, but since I'm in Nigeria, I'll be addressing this to those in Nigeria. I hope you liked this video. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe to the YouTube channel so that when next I drop a video, you will be able to see it. And if you are interested in learning more about the water business, either the retail side or the manufacturing side, I'll leave my contact information on screen so that you can book a one-on-one coaching session with me. And please, the contact information which I'm sharing to you is for WhatsApp only. You can kindly send a message to WhatsApp, or you can also send me a voice note so that we can begin the discussion from there. I also have a packaged online course where I've selected some key videos and some files like the business plan, building plan, NAVDAC checklist, and some other necessary informations that are needed for you to properly set up a pure water factory from scratch. If you are interested in joining the online course, I'll leave the course link in the comments and also in the description of this video.